Hey, Andrea, how are you? Let's click my. Does it sound okay out there? Andrea, were you at Berkeley at the same time I was? Thank you. Glad it sounds fine. We'll wait a little bit and then I'll just start ranting. I got some stuff. I mean, secondary dominance, you know all about that from school, but I'm going to apply it to a few things just to expand people's repertoire. Um, so, were you there while I was there, or while I was teaching, or after? I don't. Kind of looks kind of like a blur. The early '70s. Oh, I was one of your lab teachers. Warren, how fortunate you were. I actually had a great time there. You know, my folks thought I was nuts leaving that job, and I probably was. Maybe I would have been the chair at some point, but you know, uh, I just felt I walked into Bill Levis and I was like, here I am teaching people how to be seasoned musicians, and I never left the nest. So I went from Fort Lee High School at 17 to Berkeley to never, I mean, yeah, we had our share of gigs, but I had not been on the road by at that point, and did whatever it is that you're training people to do. Of course, now who knows what we're training people to do except enjoy music, and in hopes that they can find some income with it. But anyway, we'll give it about another few minutes, and then I'm going to start showing some examples of these things and talking about secondary dominance and how you can make use of them in chord solos. I mean, I don't write out chord solos anymore. I just learn the tune and then figure a million ways to try to play it. Come up with different variations, and usually what you come up with, whether it's on the turnaround of a tune or just a chord change with a certain note in the melody, will work on any other song that you choose. So you get your own little bag of tricks, or compositional devices that you can, reuse just like any other vocabulary. Um, but we'll give it a few, and Hey, Clive. It's secondary dominant day today. So, let's give it a shot. I mean, I got some things I wrote out that you can apply ways, different ways to apply it. Anyway, let's get down to the nuts and bolts to start with. So, what is the secondary dominant chord? Well, let's click this on. It's the diatonic system. I don't want that. Here we go. Move it out of the way. This is all a review for I think most of you. But anyway, okay. If we consider the regular diatonic system, 1 chord, 2 chord, 3 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord, 7 chord, as our primary chords in any given key or any given key center, there's a dominant and a tonic thing in there, and we talked about that, the dominant sound and the tonic sound within the diatonic system. But if you step back, you can start to approach these other chords with chords of dominance. Let me make this smaller. Chords of dominant quality chords. And so let's just go through, I'll go through real quick the diatonic. We'll do it in the key of the desolate, the key of C. 1 chord, C major 7, 2 chord, D minor 7, 3 chord, E minor 7, F major 7, 4 chord, 5 chord is G7 of course, A minor 7, B minor 7, flat 5, and it repeats. Okay, so we know what the primary dominant chord is to the 1 chord of the key of C, which of course is a G7. And if you notice within the G7, there is a leading tone. There's the B natural. Makes you want to do this. Or if you want to hear both notes, the tritone. Okay? And that takes you to 1. So, now, targeting the 2 chord in the key of C, let's think of a 5 chord that would take you to the note D. Okay, it would be an A7 chord. So now, but instead of going to D major, because we're not going to D major, we're still within the confines of a C diatonic system. We're going to go to a D minor chord. So here is, and this is listed as 5/7 of 2. You'll see this when I pick a song and I show you the diagram. Okay, so 5/7 of 2 in this case is an A7 chord. All right, and we'll talk about this in kind of like little 1, 6, 2, 5 progressions as well. Okay, so now let's take a look at that A7 chord. That A7 chord has a C sharp in it. That's the leading tone taking you to D. Now, instead of D major, which would be this, okay, it's this because our overall tonality is within the key of C. So now we have this. Okay, and that's our D minor. Now, the same approach going to the 3 chord, which would then be a B7. Here's the D sharp that takes us to the E, and instead of it going to an E major, it goes to an E minor, because again, we're in the overall key of the diatonic system of C. Okay, so that would be 5/7 of 3. Then we have a 4 chord, which is our C major 7. And we have C7. There's our E natural leading tone taking us to the F. And again, it would be this if it was going this F major, but it's going to it's going to F major, but it's a 4 chord, so it's 5/7 of 4 in the key of C. All right. Now here's our 5 chord G7, and that's going to be approached by a D7 chord. There's the F sharp, going to lead you up to the G, and this too is a type of a major chord, but it's a dominant 7th chord, has a flat 7 on it. So now it's going to be, and here is that leading tone. Okay. Now we're back to approaching a minor chord. This is the 6th chord, 5, 7 of 6. All right. That's going to be an E7. All right. And that G sharp's going to take us to the A, and here is that. Okay. The next chord is a B minor 7 flat 5, and that's going to be an F sharp. And that takes us to 5, 7 of 7. And that's our diatonic, that's our next step back from approaching the primary chords. Okay, I look at it as layers. Okay, my primary chords are my first layer, and now I have secondary dominants. Okay. Now the next step, if you look down below, is we can approach every one of those with a related 2 chord to the 5 chord that we are using to approach our diatonic chord. All right, so we're going to approach C major. Of course, is going to be D minor 7, G7, C. 2, 5. So now if we're going to go to the A7 to take us to D minor, well, what travels with an A7? I mean, I joke with my students, and it shows my age, that I say Roy Rogers always hung out with Gabby Hayes. Well, a 2 chord always travels with a 5 chord because they're kind of like married to the same thing. So a 2 chord that would travel with an A7 is an E minor 7. So that now would be 2, 5 of 2. E minor 7, A7. Same approach to the next chord. But you see, I'm still targeting my chords of the key of C. Okay, 2, 5 of 4. G minor 7, C7, 4, which in this case F major 7. 2, 5 of 5, A minor 7, D7, G7. 2, 5 of 6. And I use that, and then 2, 5 of 7. Okay. Now, rule of thumb, if you're approaching a minor chord, sometimes it sounds smoother because it comes from the harmonic minor structure of using a minor 7 flat 5 instead of a straight minor 7 chord. But, you know, it's a rule of thumb. You listen to people like Ray Charles, he didn't do it. And also, you know, there's a lot of people. It's just, you know, nothing's written in stone. There's no rules to music for the most part. Anyway, so here it is. If I put a minor 7 flat 5 approaching it, and if you were going to make it a dominant 7th chord, sometimes you can put the sharp 5. It's, you know, makes it smoother transition to a minor chord in the diatonic system, like so. Here's 2, 5 of 2 using a minor 7 flat 5 chord. Okay. But you wouldn't be wrong if you did this. Okay. Same thing. Going to the 3 chord, or make it a minor 7 flat 5. Okay. So again, rule of thumb, if you're approaching a minor chord, you can make the 2 chord a minor 7 flat 5 and the dominant chord a flat 9, flat 13 or sharp 5, whatever you want to call it at that point. Okay, so now one step further again. We've made it 2, 5 of the diatonic system, okay, of secondary dominance. Now we have a thing called a flat 5 substitute, right? So let's just say we're going to G7 and the flat 5 substitute is D flat 7. And that's going to a 1 chord. So that would be D minor 7, G7, or D flat 7 to C. This is not secondary dominant now, it's just a flat 5 sub. Takes us to 1. But now use the same thing with our secondary dominance. again, you can use a flat. You can use the minor 7 flat 5 with the flat 5 sub. Okay, you get these all under your fingers because, like I had said earlier to Andrea, when I don't like do a by rote chord melody. I don't write stuff out. I did back in the early days, but now it's just you learn the melody, you learn the changes, and you learn a million ways to just negotiate changes and melodies and chords with certain melody notes in the lead. Because that's the melody, and it's usually on the top of the chord, so that most of the listeners can distinguish the melody easily. Anyway, so now we just did that. Now let's just take away and take the flat 5 sub and put the 2 that relates to that flat 5 sub. Okay? So if I'm going to the key of C and it's the 1 chord, again, that's not a secondary dominant, but the flat 5 sub is a D flat. I can put an A flat minor 7 in front of it, D flat, and make it resolve to C. Or where am I at? I did that one already. All right, so now I just mixed them all up, have everybody's head spinning. But these are things that you can get under your fingers. It just takes doing it once or twice on a chord melody that you're working on, or a harmonization. One of the big pluses, if you want to get this down under your fingers, is go through, a bunch of tunes and just sit down and say, okay, let me look at the melody and let me harmonize the melody from, of course, the top down. Remember, guitar is transposed an octave higher, so you're always reading the melody an octave higher. So if you are using the, for lack of a better words, the real book, take the melody and raise it up an octave. Now, and then build the chord below. Once you start getting used to seeing, oh, it's a C major 7 with the 3rd in the melody, you'll come up with a million voicings that you'll use, and then find the other ways that you can approach that chord when you're heading in that direction. Let me just drop this down. I think you've all seen it enough. Everything has to do with where you're going. I'm going to show you some other things that I've taken from my years of playing classical guitar. And that's a thing. Well, there are two things. One, which is just general music knowledge, which is called voice leading. That means moving the least amount of notes to satisfy the approaching harmony and melody. The other thing is what you'll see if you study classical guitar, and you've looked at different editings from whether Julian Bream or Segovia or John Williams. And there are certain people that are of that world, of the classical world, that will prefer something edited by a certain person. Like, I'm just making a for instance, like, okay, I don't like the way, Christopher Parkening did this, and this is, I'm just making this up. This is just, make believe, but a guy will say, oh, I prefer the edited version of Segovia on the Bach Bourrée in E minor because of his fingering. Now, what is finger leading? Okay, well, I'm going to just show you that in a simple tune, and it's a way for you to go from chord to chord in a legato manner. Guitar is very easily played staccato, okay? But to play it legato is a little bit more of a challenge. So, if I was doing, let's just take, Okay, that's Cherokee. That's kind of like Wes's version, except Wes played the dominant nine, and I use an alter chord in the beginning. But here's my here's what I mean about finger leading. If I'm going from here, I'm looking. I'm saying, okay, well, here's my start chord. I'm gonna go to this. This is only, for analyzation purposes. This whole thing is a C7 chord or a C7 altered, and it's going to take you F minor, and that's pretty much what the whole A section of the tune is. Okay, so I'm here, and I'm playing a F sharp triad with a C in the melody. So it's a C7 with flat 5, flat 9, and the flat 7 there. Okay, and when I go to this next chord, this stays. So I'm just gracefully moving that. Now watch when I go to this chord. This note stays. So I'm not picking up and reestablishing. Okay? So here it is again. Sorry. And that's just secondary dominance moving down. So you're starting here, C7. And that's another C7, F sharp 7, which is a substitute for C7, F minor sharp 5, F minor 6. And the bridges. Anyway, that's finger leading. You know, you're looking at where you're going, and you try to keep it. If I did, right? So it's I'm moving as little as possible. I'm going from this. Anyway, so that's what I got from the years of doing so and that should carry over to all of your playing, you know. So you got voice leading, you got finger leading. Look at the I've always been a believer of economy of movement. So look at those and as you work on these tunes. Now I'm going to throw something up here. And it's a little analyzation of using secondary dominance And if you look at the beginning, I'm going to just glance at my sheets so I remember what I wrote out for everybody. Um, all right, a simple song, "Over the Rainbow." You know, this is not brain surgery, and it's a simple song. It starts out with. Then to a 4 chord, back to 1, and here's 5/7 of 2, 2, 5, 1. Okay, that's the top. Goes the bridge. I'm giving you the simplest version up top, and then I'll show you, what I did on the bottom. Okay, the bridge is. That's 5/7 of 3. See the E minor 7, 4, 5, and then back. Four. And there's one of my little tricks. Whenever I have the root in the melody. Okay, so that is the version of pretty much, I guess, if you bought like the simple version of Over the Rainbow. Okay, now let's take a look at my Mishkalens on the bottom here. Okay, now as I approach the and this is my reworked version. I'm on the C chord. Now I go 2/5 to 3. Then I go 2/5 to 4. Then I go 2/5 to 3. Then I go 2/5 to 4. Then I take the 4 minor, and I put the B flat 7, which is nothing more than F minor 6. And then I do a turnaround: E minor 7, A7, D minor 7, G7, and a quick turnaround: 2/5 of 2, 2/5 back to 1. Okay, let me play you what that is. And that's the A section. Now, I could come up with a million different variations of it. I stated the melody sometimes I didn't, sometimes I held but I'm just flying off the seat of my pants, but I'm using what we just discussed. The secondary dominants, the related 2 to that secondary dominant, flat 5 substitutes, okay? Let me give you the bridge. Okay, so I'll take the A section, and I'll go to the bridge. Last eight. I'm just throwing it all in there. Okay. Um, but I mean, that's what I do once I learn the melody, and I have all of this vocabulary, in my hard drive, and it just comes out. Now, on top of that, you can play over those changes. So, if you hear to apply those changes, it gives you more material to play on. Now, you go back to the original Rainbow. Yeah, you're playing on a C chord to an E minor chord, and then you're going to a C7 that brings you to the 4 chord. But and here I'm going. So I'm playing on the changes that I wrote down. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff. So any questions on what I just laid on anybody? Andrew, you still out there? Clive, any questions on any of these things? There's a lot here. I'm gonna. Last time we were on, and Clive mentioned that it's helpful to be thinking out loud. So I'm going to pick a few songs and I'll think out loud when approaching them as a chord melody or as a harmonized piece. I don't like to call it chord melody because I mean I don't really construct chord melodies with a lot of moving lines. I just pretty much consider it like I'm a piano player and I'm playing the song. So, hit me with questions. Lot to digest. Yeah, it is. But start simple, and that's what we're gonna do. We'll pick a song right now, and we'll start. And we'll start simple. We'll just find one, and we'll kind of pick it apart. Probably maybe like Bluesette, that's a simple enough song. And I'll show you my thought process in doing that. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. Yeah, we could work through that. Yeah, I mean that's that's a good one to work through. Since you're in the middle of doing that. Just bear with me a second. I mean, I know the tune. I've played it a million times. I just want to. If you have a lead sheet in front of you, so we could go together on it. I'm assuming you're doing it in the key of G, right? So if you look at it straight off, all right, you have the first chord is a G major 7. You're in the key of G. The note's D. All right, so that's the fifth of the chord. All right, so if I was looking at this the first time, I go, oh, okay, well, standard drop 3 voicing, okay, but I rarely use that chord voicing. I usually go like this. All right, so that's my first chord, simple enough. And now I'm just voicing everything B flat 7 because it's taking me to E flat, right? third in the melody, fifth in the melody, root in the melody. And I'm keeping it clean, keeping it straight. All right, it's pretty simple, pretty plain. Okay, here it is again. Either here or here, right? And look it, I did that instinctively, that finger leading. If I started here, look at my third finger stayed on the flat 7. Okay, I didn't go, oh, I could do this. All right, so, and now watch, I'm going to go with the root of the B flat in the melody. Watch what stays. These stay. These 2 fingers stayed. That makes it a smoother transition. Here it is again. And this one, because we have to jump up to the higher third, we have that. Now, things that I would instinctively do, okay? I'd put a flat 5 in that to give it a little bit more substance, okay? And where's that taking me? To an E flat major 7 chord, right? And that would be, if you really want to keep it plain, all right? But I would probably do this or that. Look, we have a simple little 2-5. Let's doll that up a little bit. Okay. Now, usually take that melody up an octave. And I would probably chromatic approach that. So I do. Now that's the A minor with the flat 3 in the melody, right? You could go, or that's D7. Here's your turnaround. Back to the top. And if you did it like Bill Evans, I think he did, he made it a minor chord. So it would behoove you to check out as many different versions as you possibly can to get more and more things under your belt when it comes to this tune. So you have a lot more in your arsenal, okay? But we'll keep it as the straight sheet. So we're going back to second ending, third in the melody of a C major 7 chord. Third in the melody of the B minor 7. And I would make this probably a dominant chord, not the minor chord. I'm just adding a little bit more hair to that A7 chord. But it could be a straight A7. And then So so that's my quick thinking and keeping it pretty tame. I don't know if it's too tame for you or if that was a big help. I hope it was, but that's um that's kind of like how I approached it. Way back when, um, without elaborating too much on each chord change. You know, um, you could add major seven sharp fives. Um, there's so many different things you can do to it. Is was that of help, Clive? It's not so much of being a wizard as much as just, you throw a lead sheet in front of you, and uh, oh, I did know it, Rosmel. I'm just looking at basic changes right now, so I don't get too crazy. 'Cause Clive had asked for it, straight up. Uh, but we had. Did you just join us just now? I'm gonna pick apart a few other tunes, and and I'll talk. I'll reiterate out loud, what I'm thinking. I just kind of pulled that out of my tuchus. Here, I gave an example of this earlier that you'd probably relate to. Wes does that. I do this. Because we were talking about finger leading. So if you have a chance, re-rack that. Oh, okay. Uh, talking about finger leading and it's not magic, but my history of playing classical music, um, and looking for an economy of movement. But anyway, I was messing with this. Now, what are the changes to that tune? But didn't do that. All right, so if I was looking at that lead sheet straight off, I'm using the George thing, right? The thirds, or I can go. I just know it's the fifth in the melody of the D minor chord. And that was my way of fattening it up, so I'm not sitting there just playing single notes on a tune like that. The middle section to that tune. uh-uh. So I'm just like, kind of winging it off the top of my head to fill it up. You know, I think last week I think I was messing around with. All right, let me talk you through that a little bit. Okay, this is a good one to do, Clive. Um, all the things you are, because it's mostly it's mostly thirds in the melody. So simple drop twos work very easily. I'll show you again. I'll talk out loud on this one. Um, Okay, F minor, B flat minor, E flat 7, A flat major 7, D flat major 7, G7, taking me to C. Okay, how else can I do that? Well, I can go. I just did a whole bunch of 2 5s with that in the melody to A flat. These are all little stock little sentences that just became, compositional devices that they're just part of my arsenal. So if you hear me enough, you'll say, "Oh yeah, Russ is doing that again," But it's just like holding a conversation. We have our own ways of phrasing, our own ways of chatting, our own ways of throwing in little jokes and jabs and to get our point across. So it is a language. So here we go again. How about this? Oh, wait a minute. I'm just trying to find stuff to make it different every time. Um, it's the same bars. I'm just finding new stuff to do. You play a tune long enough, and you come up with a certain amount of arsenal, a certain amount of arrows in your quill. Um, so whatever you learn from playing "Here's That Rainy Day," you can make use of in a million different ways, and just they all that stuff reapply. It reapplies itself. If I'm doing, oh look, Russ did that thing again. Okay, I think I used this before on something. Oh, on yeah, there we go. I used that there. Okay, it just came to me on that tune. So it's I'm just finding stuff to do, and if you think first time I ever played that or played things like that, no, they're part of my hard drive. They've been done. Here, I'll just. Last week we were talking about George, and we were talking about Weekend in L.A. Okay, so I was sitting around this morning playing Weekend in L.A., and I said, you know something? Instead of just playing the single notes like everybody does when they play Weekend in L.A., I started messing around and going, right? Where am I going? Yeah. So now I could turn that into a solo thing, or next time I do the tune, instead of just going, right, harmonize it. Just so it was a little project for myself this morning while I was sitting here. I wound up getting up at like 5 in the morning, and I was just messing around trying to stay quiet, not to wake anybody up. and I started messing with that. Um, yeah, well, yeah, I'll use it. I'll make that work at some point. Uh, that's finding the best inversion, finding that it's just becoming aware of what you play. Don't just play a chord. Um, don't just accept the fact by rote or as a picture book. Know what's in those chords. Know what's how the chord's constructed. Know what's in the top part of the chord. Um, don't just settle for doing things by rote. That's all. And it takes a bit of doing. It takes a little bit of discipline, but eventually the guitar opens up, and every note is what it is, and your ear knows what it is, and it's not there's nothing scientific about it, and there's nothing learning via picture books and graphs is not the way to turn the instrument into a real self-expressive thing. But we're all still learning. I mean, I did this morning with that tune. Um, you know, uh, you know, I find the melody and then I just find ways to harmonize it. And I think everything I do is if I'm playing a gig and I have to play with just guitar or guitar bass and drums. Only because I was always envious of piano players who could fill up so much sound. So so my approach has always been like that. But as you go through your chord forms, recognize what's in the melody and recognize the voicing itself. And how many different ways, and then group them together in sentences. So if you have a turnaround, for instance, and I think I gave you a bunch of my favorite turnarounds. Well, a favorite. I don't really have a favorite. It's whatever's my ear hears at the moment. But let's just go A minor 7, or B minor 7, E7, A minor 7, D7. I see that coming up. Sorry. Sounds much prettier if I just put the major 7 in there. So it's I'm doing contrary motion. All right. Now same idea. Same idea. You've heard me do that. I that one falls under my fingers all the time. And then if I got it here, well, then I also have it if I want to do it. Let's go to here. Just with a different fingering with the same motion. And add those to doing your chord melodies. I mean, I'm trying to think of another tune that isn't easy. Here, I was doing it before. Watch. Look familiar? It's all my little, my little inventions. Like GB has his inventions. Um, and they just show up. They just become spontaneous like any other conversation. But to think that I didn't play them before, or didn't at some point work them out, it's just the more you work them out, the more other ones slide in and variations. And then after a while, unless someone really knows every one of your recordings, like we know George and Wes, um, and we all have we all repeat ourselves. That's just how it is. It's not like I've never uh, said the word subdominant before. It's part of our vocabulary. So, um, I'm trying to think of any other simple things I can talk through. Okay, you know what? Um, let's talk through the beginning of I'm going to take it chord by chord, and we'll do all the things you are. And instead of playing it, that's F minor. Go into B flat minor. B flat minor is the same as D flat major 7. Okay? Same as G minor 7 flat 5. And it's a part of E flat 7. So as I play this chord, that's my F minor, which is nothing more than A flat major 7, which is what the key of the song is in. It starts in that. Okay, now it goes 2-5, which is all one big fat E flat major 7 chord. Back to A flat. Now it's going to go to a 4 chord, which is nothing more than going back to an E flat 7 chord or a B flat minor 7. Now it's going to change and go to C major 7. We're changing key. What's going to take me there? Some kind of a G7 or a D minor or D flat 7. So let me go D minor 7, D flat, C. All right, so let me reiterate that again and see. I won't be playing it exactly the same, but I'm going to try to talk through it, okay? F minor, A flat, E flat 7, or B flat minor 7, or D flat major 7. That's my A flat major 7. That's the fifth of A flat major 7. Okay. Gonna go back to D flat major 7. 2-5 to C. Now C minor, which is the same as E flat. 2-5 going B flat 7. A flat major 7. 2-5 going back to G. A minor 7, which is the same as D7, back to G. F sharp minor 7. So, I hope that helps. Questions. Hit me with questions. I'm tired of hearing myself talk. I never learn from listening to my own talk. I learn more from you guys hitting me with stuff. Nothing left to be said. All right, I'm gonna. If we're good, I certainly have saturated you all with a bunch of stuff today, um, and it's always my pleasure to do so. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week. What I'll present. We'll figure out something. But if we're all good, I'll wait to see if there's any questions, and I'll just kind of dabble around here um, and wait on any questions. If nothing, I'll bid you guys a good evening. Let me see what did Rosmel say. The chord subs. This chord is this, and this, etc. How do how how do you apply it? No, Andrea is good. It's all good. Andrea said. I guess it's martini time for Andrea soon. Certainly for me. How do I apply it? It's under my fingers. So, um, let's just think about that for a second. Okay, let's just pick apart. Let's just pick apart. A 1, 5, 7 of 2, 2, 5, 1. Okay, which is really just C major, A7. Okay, it's 1, 6, 2, 5, but I'm making that a 6, 7, which is 5, 7 to 2. D minor 7 and G7, which is all the same animal to me. So these two are together. This leads me to this. All right, so what did I just do? I went C, A7, and then to a D minor 6 or G7. And if I want to add more hair, well, I'm on a B natural. Okay? So we know that that's the third, but it's the flat 7 of D flat, right? So now let me make it as if it's a flat 7 of D flat. All right, so let's see if I can just do that within C. C. So that's still playing over in my head. I'm still playing over this. Any combination. So how to apply it is slow yourself down and then take it. So if this was me slowed down, here's D minor or F minor 6, okay? And I'm going to stop deliberately there and say, okay, I'm going to apply a D flat 7. Well, where is D flat 7? Okay, now let me make some music out of that. And that's my resolution to the 5th of C. So you just got to slow it down. Stop yourself and say, I want to make use of this, I want to make use of that, and get it in your ear and get it under your fingers. Then eventually, your hand just falls on the third of a chord, and you're just like, okay. And that was just G7. That's flat 7 of G7, right? Or the third of D flat. And then you just resolve it. I mean, I hope that didn't complicate it even more. Um, and you know, I just connect the dots. I connect the sounds together, and um, all right. Here's a for instance. Okay, uh, uh, G minor. It's a 2/5 G minor. Now I'm going to some kind of a C7. Now I could make it a straight C7. Taff. Okay, but instead, oh, what did you say? Oh, so now, and it takes me to F. So let's just play that. Here's G minor. So I made it go there, and it's really just this. Bringing me to an F chord. What other? It's just like learning a new word, and you're trying to fit it in a sentence. Eventually, it just shows itself. Oh, Angie's doing all right. Margarita's work. A little Casamigos on the rocks. Always good with a twist of lime. Anyway, Rosmel, I hope that helps. I mean, feel free to call me, and guys, you can track down my email address on my website. And have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. On and off this whole thing. I'm sure I'm going to think of things. I'm going to probably text Rosmel later and say, "Oh yeah, did you ever think about doing that?" But every chord that you play, you should be able to reiterate on. Because chords and melodic notes, and it's all one thing. It's all one thing. It's just not like it's like saying words are different than sentences. No, it's all one thing. It will get there. You just got to be slow and patient about it. And you'll connect the dots. You'll make it work, and you'll connect the dots differently than I do, but it'll work. Anyway, guys, if there's any other questions, I'll give you like about 2 minutes, and I want to let you guys go because I don't want to tie you up and tie up your Thursday. But I hope that helped you out, Rosmel. Here's another thing. Okay, real quick. You take something that like you learn from George, you learn from Charlie Parker, and then you embellish it. All right. Charlie Parker did this on Donna Lee. And analyze what he did, okay? It's a B flat 7 chord. Third, 9 or 2. Then he's going. So here's his targeted note. Here's his targeted note. There's the B flat. So I'll harmonize it. And what is this? I just extended it. It's an A flat major 7 chord with a sharp 5 or flat flat 5, and he winds up on the flat 5. So here it is, his line with me elaborating. Sorry. All right. Oh, look, so I got that. It could be part of an E7 chord. taking me to E flat. So that's me talking aloud. Uh, I got no place to go. So that's me talking aloud. I took an idea from a Charlie Parker thing, right? And I looked down and I went, all right, that's part of Donald Lee. And he slides down to the flat five. I just resolved the D flat because I wound up going to E7, and then I resolved it to the E flat chord because it's just A flat or A flat major 7 or D flat 7 or E minor or D minor 7 flat 5 or F minor 6 or whatever you want to call it. It's all the same targeted tones. But anyway, so shoot me questions. Track me down on Facebook. Do any of that stuff and shoot me questions. It's always been a pleasure hanging out with everybody. I hope this is helpful. Drag some of your other friends in if they're into, stretching out on the guitar and if you think this will help them out. All right, so since I've had you guys up here for almost an hour and 20 minutes, have a great night and a great week. And, Rosmel, everybody track me down on Facebook and an instant message. I'll give you my email addresses and my contacts. So if you guys have any questions or ladies have any questions you want to shoot me or things that you'd like me to talk about that I could elaborate on, hopefully I can, then shoot me those. All right. So, peace to everybody, and I'll catch you next week. All right. Be good. Stay safe.